UFC 304 in July is rumored to be in Manchester, England, and today I'm going to build that main card for you and let you guys know which fights should be on the main card of UFC 304. Stick around to hear my thoughts. I'm Wyatt, and this is Fight Society. All right, guys, so here we have a layout for a possible UFC 304 main card that is rumored to be in Manchester, England in July. Now, given that the UFC has two English champions right now, it's pretty obvious who should be in the main and co-main events. So first off, I have Leon Edwards, UFC Welterweight champion, headlining the card. He does get a very good reception in England. He's from Manchester, I believe. We've been waiting for him to make a title defense since his win over Colby Covington. We've been waiting to hear news about this. We heard rumors of it being UFC 300. That didn't end up happening. But with this card being in Manchester, England, it looks like this is lining up perfectly for Leon to headline that card. And I think that he should headline against Belal Muhammad. Now, the UFC does not want Belal Muhammad in a title fight. They don't want him as champion. They don't like him very much. If I was Belal, I would just go to the PFL and just rack up $1 million tournament wins over the next 3 or 4 years until I retire. But they did promise Belal Muhammad a title shot after beating Gilbert Burns. And he has been sitting out for almost a year since that fight. When May comes around, it'll be a year since he's fought. So by the time July comes around, it'll be about 14 months since he was promised a title shot. And he had to wait for the Colby and Leon fight to happen. Now, with this card being in Manchester, England, it looks like Leon will finally get a chance to defend. And I think it's going to be against Belal Muhammad. Moving down the card from there to the co-main event, the only other British champion right now, who's the active, real heavyweight champion in my eyes right now, Tom Aspinall. Tom Aspinall, I think he should, and I think he's going to make an interim heavyweight title defense at UFC 304 in July. Now, if he was the undisputed heavyweight champion, I would flip these two fights and I would have Tom Aspinall as the main event and Leon Edwards as the co-main event, given that they typically put the heavier weight classes above, like heavyweight would be above welterweight on the card. Now, there's a lot of rumors floating around as to what Tom Aspinall's next fight is. There was talk of Stipe, but Stipe turned it down. There was talk of John Jones, but John Jones doesn't want that fight. He wants to fight Stipe. And then there's been talk of Curtis Blades, given that Tom Aspinall blew out his knee against Curtis Blades and lost that fight. But I don't think I don't think he's very deserving of a title shot. He lost to Sergey Pavlovich, and then he beat Jailton Almeida after getting dominated in the first round. By far the most entertaining fight and the most intriguing fight from a stylistic matchup standpoint for me that the UFC can do for Tom Aspinall is Ciryl Gane. I think that Tom Aspinall versus Ciryl Gane should be the co-main event for the interim heavyweight title at UFC 304 in July. And Tom Aspinall is looking like a world beater lately. Ciryl Gane has ducked many people because he wants title fights. He says he wants to get back to the belt, and he wants to be like Israel Adesanya, where they just recycle you as a heavyweight or as a championship contender after each win. You just lose a title fight, get one win, title fight, get one win, bounce back and forth between number one contender and title shot. Now, this is something, even though Ciryl Gane has ducked Tom Aspinall and Sergey Pavlovich amongst other fighters at heavyweight, I think that Ciryl Gane will accept this fight, given that it would technically be for a belt, even if it's interim. So UFC 304 main event, Leon versus Belal 2, co-main event, Tom Aspinall versus Ciryl Gane for the UFC interim heavyweight title. Moving down the card from there, I believe that the feature match on the card should include Michael Venom Page. Michael Venom Page beat Kevin Holland to become a ranked welterweight at UFC 299. Looked very good in his showing against Kevin Holland. Big star in the UK. Very good chance to put him on the same card as Leon and work him up towards a title shot. Leon versus MVP in England would be an awesome main event sometime in the future. But I think given that Michael Venom Page is ranked about 13th at welterweight, a good matchup for him from a stylistic standpoint and a ranking standpoint, and also being probably the most exciting that the matchup that the UFC could put on for both of these guys right now, given their styles. The UFC should make Michael Venom Page versus Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. both with their karate kickboxing styles. This would make for an incredibly exciting matchup on the feet, which would be guaranteed to have no grappling. Super fun, super fun matchup. Very important for both of these guys' careers, both trying to get title shots before they retire. They're both on the back end of their careers. Wonderboy's 40 or over. MVP's like 37. This is a great matchup for Wonderboy to work his way back up towards the top 5, or for MVP to get in that top like 7 or 8. I think Wonderboy's ranked 7th right now. And so feature match, it would get the fans fired up going into an amazing main event and co-main event. Michael Venom Page versus Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. Moving down the card from there, if you guys watched my fights to make after UFC 300 video earlier this week, you would see that I said that there was a specific matchup that I thought was really intriguing based on the call out made at UFC 300. And first, that involves Paddy Pimblett, who is a big UK star looking to break into the rankings. He hasn't been incredibly active. He needs to be tested against a higher ranked opponent. And I think that the opponent to do that is the man that called him out at UFC 300, and that is Bobby Green. Bobby Green versus Paddy Pimblett as a main card fight at UFC 304 in Manchester is an amazing fight because you can have the boxer against the grappler. Paddy can show that he can do more than just run out the clock against somebody like Tony Ferguson, somebody like Bobby Green that has wins. He's not over the hill yet like Tony. This is a chance for Paddy to get very toughly tested against a ranked lightweight and get a chance to get into the lightweight rankings. Now, the next fight that I think should open the main card at UFC Manchester, UFC 304, that is England's own Arnold Allen, who is coming off of a loss to Movsar Evloev against another highly ranked featherweight that is also coming off of a loss. This would be a super exciting striker versus striker matchup to open the card, get the fans going, get one of these guys back in the win column, and that is Arnold Allen against Yair Rodriguez. Arnold Allen versus Yair Rodriguez would be another very fan-friendly fight. Both of these guys would strike, not like Arnold Allen against Movsar, where he's going to end up being held against the fence for the entire fight, grappled to a boring decision that he almost wins anyway. So this is what I have here for the UFC 304 main card. UFC 304, rumored to be in Manchester, England in July. I have Leon Edwards versus Belal Muhammad 2 as the main event for the UFC Welterweight Championship. I have Tom Aspinall versus Ciryl Gane as the co-main event for the UFC Interim Heavyweight Championship. As the feature match, Michael Venom Page against Stephen Wonderboy Thompson in a welterweight matchup. Main card matchup, Paddy Pimblett versus Bobby Green for Paddy Pimblett to have a chance to get into the lightweight rankings. And then opening the main card, a very exciting striker versus striker matchup, Arnold Allen versus Yair Rodriguez, top 5 featherweights, super exciting fight. So let me know what you guys think of this card that I've built for UFC 304. Obviously, there are some other British fighters that could end up on the card as well. Nathaniel Wood, Davy Grant, Lerone Murphy could make a quick turnaround if he comes out of the Edson Barbosa fight in May without any injuries and a win. UFC Manchester is shaping up to be a very exciting card. They're opening a new arena in Manchester, and the UFC always brings banger cards to England. So this is what I have for UFC 304. Let me know your guys' thoughts. If you think I missed a fight that should have been on here, let me know. And which of these potential matchups are you most excited for on UFC 304? Let me hear your thoughts down below. If you like this video and you want more content just like this, click that subscribe button down below. If you want more content from me, go check out my weekly comedy podcast, the Hissyfit podcast, and go check out my personal channel, Wyatt's World. Go watch this suggested video, and I'll see you next time.